Welcome to the Sports Show. Mike Max, Patrick Royce, very dejected Bob Lurtsema, Sid Hartman, not sure what to make of it all. Let's,
not as ejected as he used to be when he was running Viking Update.
when circulation numbers were at stake.
That would have cost me big time.
That's right.
I got to admit,
those
man.
tough losses, you used to see Lurtsy at Winter Park with his head down.
I started thinking, hey, they haven't seen Joe Webb. He'll give them a different look. I watched Tony Dungy. He said the same thing. I said, hey, this could work in the Vikings' favor. Official statement.
Joe Webb can't play quarterback, and a lot of people in the organization out there don't think so. And then you should never let Rosenfeld go at the early part of the season to coach, and he didn't get along. And
although, let's be honest, if Rosenfeld would have played last night...
Rick Spielman got him there. He brought him there. He and his buddy from Miami brought him there.
I don't think
they wanted to keep him.
I think if you sit for 16 games and never play,
there you go.
And then all of a sudden on Wednesday they say, "Hey, it looks like you might have to play in Green Bay." I don't think it would have made any difference who the backup was.
Well, I know how to sit for 16 games.
Yes.
Get into the Super Bowl.
Right.
But you know that with Joe Webb.
I think it made a difference.
Bob?
With Joe Webb, well, the comparison I'm going to make is what Don Shula told me one time. They asked him, are you a running coach or a passing coach? He said, I am what my players make me. And I think Joe Webb started out very, very well yesterday. And then all of a sudden they try to get more of the passing aspect out of him because the receivers were getting a little separation. And I think I think they played him into his
And
weakness.
obviously they said, Joe, the one thing that you do, you can't take off too soon, so be patient. And so he was patient in the pocket. But there's a difference between being patient and waiting to get sacked.
Oh, absolutely. And as a defensive lineman's mentality, if you see him scrambling all the time, you got to stay home. You can't be as reckless. You really have to be disciplined. It puts a lot of pressure on the defensive line.
What did they do defensively?
What they did.
What did they do?
They blitzed them every time. I mean, you never had a chance to throw a pass hardly. They blitzed them all the time.
Oh, he had time.
He had time. He just looked like he was so determined not to run.
They had somebody staying there waiting for him.
Of course, they had a spy. You got to have a spy on him. But here's the deal: you need, let's face it. The Packers put it in the neutral after they went ahead 24-7. After 24-3, they put it in neutral. They stopped. They just wanted the clock.
Run the ball, try to get a first down.
It's like the Gophers against Iowa. Everybody talking, oh boy, they played great second half defense. Well, Iowa just wanted a clock to run.
Yeah,
you would have needed 24, 27 points to win that game. You're going to get that having Joe Webb run the read option?
No, I totally agree with you. But our defense was playing so much better. And against the run, they only gave up just over 2 yards per carry. So you got to give some credit to the defense. And that could have made a major difference if the offense could have just stayed a little tighter on it.
The difference is that Adrian Peterson had no chance with Joe Webb as quarterback throwing the ball. There was no passing attack. They didn't worry about the passing attack. All they worried about.
I got news for you. They haven't worried about the
Peterson.
passing attack much all year. These teams that have played the Vikings.
I'm just saying.
And he still ran the football.
Yeah.
Now, let's explain
but
that.
The Packers got smarter defensively too. They weren't going to let him pop to the outside. They made sure they kept containment after 2 games of letting him get to the outside and run as far as he wanted to.
Yeah, you can play the run almost 100% because you have a quarterback in there who hasn't played all year, never thrown a pass, and practice speed and game speed are 2 different animals. It's so much faster during a regular game, and I think to make an adjustment that quick, you're asking too much. That's why I said, I felt you should play him to his strength, Joe Webb, and that's to run him more, run the option, and not force him to have to throw the ball.
Okay, but if you're Green Bay, don't you say, okay, make Joe Webb throw the ball. We'll put the pressure on. If he can beat us at all in coverage, we'll just give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers and take our chances. I mean, everything was in their favor.
Oh, absolutely. But and the thing with the Packers, though, to really solidify what you just said, you have to have your defensive line for the Vikings. You got to have somebody deep as the deepest back. You cannot let Aaron Rodgers get outside you. And he made 2 great, huge plays that kept the drives alive.
I got one question.
You got to stay deep.
I got one question. Yeah. Where did this Eric Walden come from? Last week in the Metrodome, never heard his name called.
No.
And he was a monster. They couldn't block him. He was making plays all over the place. Outside linebacker on the left side. He was terrific.
Yeah, the rookie left tackle never blocked anybody all day. He was terrible.
Khalil?
Said you can't blame Khalil all the time, because what happens when you get in the huddle, they're going to call a certain pass play. You have to know whether the quarterback's going to drop 3
Ran
yards,
by him all
5
day.
No, 3 yards, 5 yards, or 7 yards. Now, what happened on a couple of those, Webb had to step up. He didn't. He stepped back, and all of a sudden, Khalil looks bad. And it wasn't his fault.
They pointed out very well on when he stripped him. Clay Matthews stripped him on that play. That Webb's. That's when if a guy's taking the circle route, like Clay Matthews was, you got to step up in the pocket. You can't step back and hold your arm.
And that looks like the guy that's just played his first game. Exactly. Take
Plus,
a
he
break,
fell
come back,
over.
Stay with us.
He tripped him.
Kirby used to.
There it is, locally owned, nationally known. Just stopped by there, had a long visit with Pat the other night. And things are going strong at J.D. Hoyt's, talking about the end of the lockout and whatnot with him. We'll get to that a little bit later, but stop on by J.D. Hoyt's. They are busy. Boy, they had an unbelievable New Year's Eve over there. Welcome back to the Sports Show. Official statement, what do the Vikings do this offseason? What can we look forward to? How will this team look different?
What do? They got to get one great wide receiver someplace. If they don't keep Harvin, even if they keep Harvin, they got to get a wide receiver. They won't keep Simpson. He's got a 1-year contract. Jenkins got a 1-year contract. They're hoping that Wright kid can develop into something. He did a pretty good job. That Childs kid, I don't know, he can play with 2 bad knees.
Yeah.
They got to get some wide receivers if they're going to win.
Okay, I'm going to say something that I'm going to be scoffed at here. I'd bring Michael Jenkins back as a 3rd or 4th wide receiver. I don't think he's a problem. He's fine. But, if he doesn't cost anything.
If he's not your feature.
If he doesn't cost anything. But I don't know, can you depend on getting one in the draft alerts, or do you got to go out and make a deal for one, or how do you get a big-time wide receiver? And the other thing is, they need 2 linebackers, if you ask me.
Well, I graduated Western Michigan University.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
Greg Jennings.
Thank you, from the Green Bay Packers.
He, or at least his sister, appear to be upset with his role there. He may be willing to go.
Yes, and he'd be a great acquisition.
Greg
Jennings, Green Bay.
But the
and
thing
they'll
is,
let him go, too.
I would keep the receivers they have, even Jerome Simpson, and get one legitimate deep threat. Just add that, because we had a great draft this year. Harrison Smith, unbelievable. Khalil, all in the Pro Bowl already.
Then you throw in Jarius Wright, and we saw what he could do a little bit. Blair Walsh, Robinson. Maybe the best draft ever, huh?
I'm still trying to figure out why Robinson went backwards as much as he did, but...
Well, sometimes it's an early sophomore jinx. You start thinking too much, and once you start thinking too much and it takes away from your natural God-given talents, you can really deteriorate your athletic ability as far as people watching you and grading you.
Is this all about Ponder's development for next year? If he takes that next step, everything else takes care of itself? But I'm just saying, if he takes the next step, they contend for a division. I understand that. I said, do you think, though, if he just takes one more step up, they become a division championship type team? Because, think about it. If they beat Green Bay at Green Bay, they win the division.
He was 5-2 the last 7 games.
Right.
That's pretty darn good for a quarterback.
Right?
Yeah.
They need a backup.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go get some 33-year-old that I thought was going to play, but I'd get some backup.
Why
and let
would
the
you
kid
get a
develop.
33-year-old? If you would have had Sage, you're all on Sage's side
Not
right
me.
now. If
Not me.
You bring him in. What, you'd bring in a rookie?
No,
I'd back him up if you're going to be a legitimate contender?
No, I'd bring in some 27, 28-year-old guy who's been floating around. But
that's what they need.
34 is fine, too, with Sage.
Well,
Gus Frerotte, somebody like that is what we're talking about.
yeah.
Yes.
Not him, but yeah, they need a guy who can play and give that Bethel Thompson one more year to get better.
If Childress hadn't messed with Gus, we would have won the Super Bowl 3-4 years ago.
What?
But let's not go
What was
there.
so bad
That's the
about
first time I've heard that theory.
If the same guy who counted yesterday hadn't counted too many players not on the field like they happened at Green Bay yesterday, they would have went to the Super Bowl too.
The 12 men.
Was this their best draft ever in the history of the Vikings?
I think so. Yeah. Every single player contributed something.
Or showed signs.
Well, go
Except
back
that
and
one
look
kid
at
who
the Alan
got
Page draft.
one kid who
yeah.
got hurt.
Yeah, but look at the kicker. Come on. That, he alone, Blair Walsh, he alone makes that the best draft ever.
Yeah.
That's how good that kid is.
Alan
and all
Page,
the records
Clinton
he set,
Jones, and Gene Washington, I think, were in the same draft.
that's only 3.
I think they were in the
got
same.
more.
Well, I'd have to look at the
Washington,
whole list.
Jones, and Page.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad draft.
No.
Yeah, but if you get in that category,
And
you're pretty good.
a couple other guys.
Yes, but back then there was 14 teams and they drafted, 20 deep.
Now, I don't think Percy Harvin will be back, and you do.
Who?
I don't think Percy Harvin will be back, and you do. I also don't think that I think his MRI showed that he could have played, and there's another reason that he did not play. You disagreed with me on that, too.
Don't get rid of great players.
Did
Don't
Bud
get rid
Grant
of
tell
great
you this
players.
once? Did Bud Grant tell you this once?
I always tell a story about Grant
Yes,
and
you
Finks.
do.
I've told that story a million times. They sat there, and I was in there part of the time. And Finks got the list, and Finks says, Joe, drugs, everything else. Can he play? Yes, we'll take him.
What
You
hit
owe me
on the list.
$5.
Hey.
You promised me next time you told that story, you'd give me $5. I want $5.
Hey, I want to know what happened when they got to Lurtzema's name.
Lurzma wasn't on the team.
Oh, okay.
Hey, we traded me for best trade ever
Best
in Seattle
trade ever.
Seahawks
Let me tell you.
history.
Seahawks still. Why do you
For
think?
Rashawn.
Why do you think
Rashawn
the Seahawks are
Lurtzema?
so good today? Because they made that trade.
Absolutely. Set the tone for the franchise. Thank
right.
you, Pat. Thank you.
He
Thank
kicked
you.
one guy off the team all the time.
But he cut a lot of guys. But players knew why they cut him. Media did not know why they cut
All
him.
I know is if
A
you
lot.
can't, all I know is
You
if
knew
you
what
can't
it
get
was.
along with Les Fraser, you got issues.
Ooh, baby. Take a break, come back. Sports show. Stay with us. Stop
in
on
that
by
office.
Audi of Minneapolis. Sit hang tight. Stop on by Audi of Minneapolis. Give them a call. Just was out there the other day with Bruce Bonine and the staff. Boy, they got some great vehicles on the lot. New ownership. Same great people, committed to great products. That Q7, the all-wheel drive, is perfect for this time of year. The NHL is back. Official statement.
Yeah? Well, 50 games is a lot.
50 games is just right, baby. What's the
That's
problem?
perfect.
Yeah.
What's the problem? I'll still get to my 2 games over there, whether they play 25 at home or 40.
I don't know.
What?
I want to see how those fans will come back.
Oh, they'll come back here.
Here. I don't think
they
here's
will,
a problem.
Not all over. They all say they're not going to come back,
Yeah.
and if you win 2 games in a row, they're back, right?
Well, we had those 2 $99 million contracts. With Parisi in it.
I was out there
Hey,
a couple.
you weren't still in the league in '82, were you?
No.
The 9-game season.
Yeah.
They interrupted the season. The Vikings playing, or nobody's ever coming back to another
Right.
game, Vikings played Dallas on that Monday night
Yep.
to end the season. That place, you couldn't have put one more person in it if you
And
tried.
then in '87, they play to go to the Super Bowl against Washington.
Yeah,
They go
after
in an unbelievable run.
after losing 3 scab games, yeah.
I went out and watched these. I was with these guys a couple times this week, the NHL players, as they prepare, talk to Parisi and Buffalo and all these guys. I'll tell you one thing, Lurtsy. They've had about enough family time to last.
That does get a hold of you.
All you got to know about family time is when Michael Jordan quit basketball to spend more time with his family. And 2 months later, he's riding a bus in the Southern League.
Playing baseball.
You know that part when they had the NFL meetings, the alumni meetings down in Marco Island, Florida, they talked to us why we were more adjusted to the real world than what the players are of today because they're losing so much money and they're just going the wrong way.
Yeah.
And it's because we had off-season jobs.
Yes.
And with off-season jobs, you got to feel for the people.
The real
And you
world.
Yes, and you didn't have a lot of time on your hands like what they had, what we just talked about, how boring, let's get out of
So
here.
you think that's the difference? That's a good point.
Oh, absolutely. I
I mean, Fran Tarkington had an off-season job for crying out loud.
Yes, yeah, we all did.
Sid, everybody badmouths Fear, but actually he won on a whole. I mean, the givebacks aren't nearly. They ended up with the 50-50 split like everybody knew they would, but the givebacks aren't nearly what they would have been had they just caved in. They did better with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Donald Fear seemed like he did all right. Seemed like they got to where they need to get to.
They'll fire Don Fair now. That's what will happen. You watch.
Well, what is he probably quit?
What's the difference?
Because they just signed
10-year deal?
They just signed a 10-year deal. They can't get out of it for 8 years. So he might as well quit. What the heck?
But you know how stupid the whole thing was? The average salary was like $2.2 million. They wanted $2.35
Right.
million.
It was
Yeah,
that
but
close.
that was-
Fighting
but it
over
was more of this-
150,000. No.
It was more of the split about the revenue. More about the split of the revenue.
No.
Want to do
they're
all the
biggest
talking,
kid-
Larson?
They'll never.
The whole show?
They'll never get that money back. Pat, players were stupid.
Sid,
the
do you,
guy's
do
5
you
years
think
from
in
now.
a month from now, we'll have almost forgot about the lockout and everybody will be so involved in the season and Parisi and Suter that it won't matter?
Yeah. These hockey guys, they think that's the only sport there
They're
is.
nuts, aren't they?
They think that's the only sport there is. Louis Nanny will tell you that hockey is more important than anything else. It draws more people than the Vikings even.
Yeah.
You know who'll be the first, when the first NHL coach is fired, you know who the new coach will be, don't you? Phil Housley. After he
Oh,
won
yeah, the World
he won the
Juniors,
World
yeah.
Juniors with the U.S.
From Stillwater High School
all
to
of a
the
sudden
NHL.
all of a sudden he'll be the hot ticket.
That is about how it goes. In the NFL, too, a lot of openings right now, Lurtsy.
Absolutely. And some of these college coaches are just doing such a fantastic job. I don't think they should. I don't think they should recycle so much.
Do you think
in the league.
Mark Trestman has a chance to get the Bears job?
I don't know if he'd take it. I mean,
Oh, God.
if he turned down Oakland, he wouldn't even interview Oakland.
Well, he was smart not to take the Oakland job.
Okay.
Is he
He'd
still
take
in
the
the
Bears
contract?
job in a
I'll
heartbeat.
tell you what he told me.
Canada?
After moving around all over the place, he's finally one place. His family's in South Carolina. He's there. Then he's off season. He's in South Carolina. He's not
He'd
interested
be a
in more
great hire
places.
for the Bears. He's worked with Cutler. He's proved he can run a program, and he's a sharp guy. And they need somebody who got some offensive brains.
He has spent. I
Mr.
spent some
Grant.
time with him last summer, and he really has spent a lot of time preparing to be a head coach
Yes.
in the NFL.
Mr. Grant thought he was the smartest football guy he ever met.
Really?
The pros would be better for him than a college job too, I think.
Probably.
Not-
Yep.
But isn't he in a contract till 2016?
They'll let him out of it.
Yeah. Oh, you
Take a break.
you know
Come
that,
back.
huh?
Stay with us.
The other,
There it is. Taste of the NFL. Go to Kick Hunger, thekickhungerchallenge.com. Find out more about it. Lurtson's been involved in it, and as they head towards the Super Bowl, Wayne Kostrowski doing a great job.
How about the Timberwolves?
Yeah, I was going to say, now, I don't know. I want your official statement. I'm starting to believe it is possible to be jinxed. Now we had the injury phase of the season. Now we're at the re-injury phase of the season. Kevin Love out now. Go figure this team out.
I never seen the team have the injuries they got. I mean, they got, first of all, that Khan's out of his head. Why would you sign that Roy? The guy's had every knee injury possible.
well, Adelman must have signed off on it too. They didn't do that independently.
No, they went and looked at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coaches went and looked at him in Portland. So
Now he won't retire, so they can spend that $5 million on somebody else either. They'd want him. They'd love to have him retire.
You never know what the team's going to show up. They go to
Denver and win.
Denver, where it's almost impossible to win, and they win. Then last night they
Well,
beat
last
Yeah,
night was the darndest thing.
the team that's going to show up is one with about 5 of its pieces missing. That's the team that's
But last night
going to
they were
show
down
up.
22 and they got it within 2. It was an incredibly entertaining game. Lurtsy, what do you think about the Wolves?
I love Rubio, and I went to a game a week ago. Are the back spasms part of
They
the
think
other
Edelman
injury?
says it's all. Get used to it because one thing's going to lead to the next thing. That's.
I bet
you
he
know.
don't play this year, to speak of.
He's really frustrated, man. He's not the same Rubio to be around.
Don't you think he'll come back and play here?
As much as he
Some-
can, he wants to play in the worst way. But
Well, here's the thing
Yeah,
about the
nothing but-
NBA. You can only have 15 guys. Then you get one injury. They're down to about 10 guys, and 2 of them are Lou Amundsen and Greg Steamsma.
well, I had a chance to
And-
interview
and Lazar Howard.
Lazar
Hayward.
Hayward.
They played Amundsen last night, and he almost helped them.
Lazar Hayward, who they just brought back, I had a nice visit with the other day.
Mm-hmm.
He worked in the offseason on trying to contact dead people, where you
Yes.
can you go meet with the media.
Spiritual.
Yep.
Yeah, we had that
Lunatic.
story.
Yeah, and
We had that story.
And he told me that he has not been able to speak to one yet, but he's been able to feel it. And he does know a guy that was able to speak to
Yes.
someone that died 6 years ago, Lindsay.
That's why the NBA is the
That sounds like you. That sounds like you.
greatest
You might
league
try that.
ever invented. It is the greatest league.
You might try that.
I've spoke to him.
But Sid,
I have
Sid, who
no
would you,
comment
if you
on
could
that.
contact
That's
anybody,
so
who would you go for first? Would it be Steinbrenner? Would it be Max Winter? Who would you try to talk to?
How could he bring in a player like that?
I'm just telling you, he seems like a nice guy.
Guy's
It's just
gotta
an
be
interesting
nuts.
story.
Sid had talked to the first guy he voted for, Woodrow Wilson.
That's right, Woody.
I remember once talking to my dad, asking him if he voted for FDR the first time or something like that. And he says, "Yeah, I voted for Woodrow Wilson too. Yeah, how bleeping old do you think I am?"
All right.
It's fun to watch Love work the boards, though. You know, when you go there for certain
Oh, he's a
players,
player's player that way.
the defense is what's going to definitely help.
And if he's
the
only
team.
got 9 and there's a missed free throw that goes into the bleachers, he'll dive in there to make sure he gets 10.
Yeah, for
double,
sure,
double, double, double.
Thanks for watching the sports show. See you back here next week, everybody. Have a good week.